Hi there, namaste, and welcome back to another Spiritualistik Pick a Card reading. Thank you so much for being here today. Today we're taking a look at the next steps of your spiritual journey. So please take a deep breath, drawing the energy up your spine, creating a clear and open channel. And as you exhale, allow yourself to come into clear knowing which group or groups has your message in it for you today. We've got 3 light codes to choose from my Light Codes Oracle deck. We've got the one on the left, the yellow light code, the one in the center, the black and white light code, and the one on the right, the pink light code. As always, my loves, the timestamps to your readings are listed below in the description box. You'll also be able to find all my info down there too, where you can find my spiritual store, personal readings. You can also find the links to my Patreon, my TikTok. I've got 3 subscription platforms if you're interested in exclusive content. One here on YouTube, one on Patreon, and one on TikTok. We've been going live over on TikTok and it's been a lot of fun. So if you are interested in joining me over there, then you are more than welcome. As always, I love you and I'm grateful for you. And I'll see you over at your reading. Namaste. Hi there, Group 1. Namaste and welcome to your reading. Today we're taking a look at the next chapter of your spiritual journey, and you selected the first group with the yellow light code here. So in this reading today, we're going to take a look at the next chapter of your spiritual journey, pertaining to first the main themes, spiritual gifts and abilities that are awakening for you, what you're learning, what you don't see, and of course we'll pull messages of encouragement at the end, and Spirit said that advice will be coming through as we pull the different cards. So now to get into it, we'll be scrying off of the light code here. So group number 1, the first thing that I'm getting for you here is that this next chapter of your spiritual journey, it has a lot to do with changing the way that you relate to your spirituality. So this might mean that your spirituality is taking a different shape. It's moving into a different container. You're following a new set of beliefs. Maybe you read something or you experience something that awakens you into a new paradigm or has you change your perspective. But whatever it is, it's certainly going to be something that cracks open your clairvoyance in a particular way. So if you're not already seeing auras, expect to. If you're not already seeing signs and synchronicities from the universe, expect these to come online or strengthen. For those of you who don't experience clairvoyance already, this might be a little bit of a interesting journey for you. However, those of you who already experience clairvoyance, you're going to find this strengthening a lot. You're going to find new forms of clairvoyance opening up. And for some of you, you're going to notice that your clairvoyance and your clairaudience mesh with one another. Your spiritual gifts come through our different sensory perceptive areas in our body, in our astral body, in our aura. However, when they expand, they can end up creating like a little bit of a Venn diagram. And if they expand even further, they can end up meshing into one. So you might actually have some new interesting gifts coming through as well, like synesthesia. You might be seeing earth grids, energetic grids, crystalline blueprints, things like this. Now, what I want to take a look at here, group number 1, is I have gifts awakening for you as the second topic here, but I have to show you that this light code you selected, it's actually light code activation. So while we can scry off of it and pick up so much information just by attuning here to the light code, this in and of itself is something that might be awakening for you. Now, light codes don't always have to be drawn and they don't always have to be visual. You will see a lot of energy workers use light code activations by seeing and receiving codes through any of their spiritual gifts and abilities, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and they might pick up codes from the sun or from Archangel Michael. Some people will feel the energetic field and they will feel the energy, and then they will allow themselves to push, pull, and move energies from themselves or whatever they're working through in order to align these energies through to kind of create a journey or a pathway into that new energetic paradigm. Now, you can do that, for example, with your hands, with energy, through intention, and those steps, those movements, those lines, so to speak, can also be seen. They can also be drawn. They show up to some people as colors. They show up to some people as lines. So for me personally, when I make light codes, I utilize my hands and I feel my way through. And I'm also able to clairvoyantly see them as these lines. I actually channel draw these, so I will close my eyes and I will draw these with my eyes closed. And I will also move my way, push and pull the energy with my hands and adjust them. But I always make sure I have a set intention. I'm receiving codes and it's a direction that I want to go in, and it's evolved from where I currently am or serves me or the collective in a particular way. So there is something similar to this that's cracking open for you as well. So with the Lightcode activation card, this next chapter of your spiritual journey is changing the way that you relate to your spirituality and also your spiritual gifts. So you might be having a whole new gift come online. Some of you, this might actually have to do with light language, because we spoke earlier about certain gifts connecting with one another. So as they merge, this will open up things like light language, light codes. It can also open up synesthesia for some of you. It can also open up access to other worlds and dimensions and paradigms as well. And as you are connecting to these things, of course, make sure that you know where your spiritual and your grounded anchors are. So you've got a paradigm to work with, and the energetic field that is holding it is anchored and remains the same. For example, you connect with God, source, universe, light, golden light, violet flame, whatever it is that you resonate with for, let's just call it your crown chakra energies, although there's so much more than that. You have your anchor in source, in light, in God, in the universe, and you also have that solid anchor in earth, in ground, in your body. So all of those things, so that your spiritual journey and your spiritual phenomena, they don't throw you for a loop. We'll see a lot of times, it happens to the best of us. You can get very easily spun out on a detour with a spiritual experience. So when your gifts start to open up, you want to make sure that you know where your center is, so that you can go out and play and experience and have beautiful spiritual phenomena and gifts and abilities and still come back to center. That way you don't lose your center and go on a journey to find it again. So with that being said, let's take a look at the main themes here for this next chapter of your spiritual journey. So taking a look at the mini oracle here, I'm hearing transfer. So maybe a transfer of assets, a transfer of spiritual gifts, a transfer of beliefs. Maybe you're passing knowledge on to someone else, or they're passing it on to you. Let's see, main themes of group number one's spiritual journey. That's coming up next for them. So we've got affirmations and unconditional love. So this has a lot to do with self-love, and with follow the plan at the back of the deck. This also lets me know here that you have in some way, shape, or form already organized to open up some of these gifts and abilities. So some of these might be gifts that maybe in meditation or in your dreams or in some of your higher spiritual states of consciousness, you already have access to these gifts, or at the very least you have awareness to these gifts. However, when you are standing in your body, when you're walking through your everyday life, you're going to feel these even more. You're going to feel the light code activations coming from the ancient trees around you, or from the ocean, or from the sun, instead of maybe simply being really deep in meditation, in that theta state, in that trance state, finding that when you are super floated out of your body like a balloon, then you can access these energies, or whatever that is for you, because everyone's in a different place on their journey. So the main themes here are going to be affirmations for yourself. Yes, you are experiencing what you're experiencing. Yes, you love yourself. Yes, you are worthy of these things. Yes, you deserve to express and share these gifts with yourself and the world. Yes, it is right for you to have these gifts. Yes, it is normal. Yes, this is something you're experiencing. Yes, you can do something beautiful with it. All of these affirmations, you'll find what hits home when you're walking through the journey, of course. And I do want to mention as well that affirmations can be a really helpful way to retrain the subconscious mind. So when the higher self enters a new paradigm and the physical self and the human brain try to make sense of it, you'll also find that doing some maybe affirmations, subliminals, or subconscious work like meditation, hypnotism, or again, just affirmations will really, really assist you in merging that gap. That's a big theme that's coming out here, merging that gap between the higher self and the physical self. This subconscious mind, it's kind of that permeable membrane that's in between, if you think about it this way. So just like we spoke about other gifts of yours, having maybe one gift and another gift, and then creating a Venn diagram and kind of meshing together, and then eventually both of those circles expand until they're holding the same space. This is also what we're speaking about here with the higher self and the physical self, kind of sublimating the subconscious mind so that your subconscious mind comes to the forefront and it's also connected with your higher self. So here we've got integration with your highest self as a spirit, as a soul. We've got your subconscious mind being in tune with that and pushing it forward into your regular experience. So This is why affirmations and unconditional love are important, and that you remember that you are following the plan. Specifically because you're going to notice changes in the way that you relate to your spirituality and yourself. You'll notice changes in the ways that you talk to yourself, the ways that you relate to yourself. And you're also going to notice that you shed layers of your physical self, identification of self. And this is creating space for these higher levels of consciousness of self to come through. But remember that they're coming through the higher self from source, God, universe, light, whatever you resonate with there, to the higher self, to the subconscious, to you, to a self. So as all of these energies are coming through, you're going to notice that a lot of energy starts to shift and move and change in your physical reality because they're also shifting in your subconscious mind, and it needs room for that. Not only that, they're also shifting in your higher self because that is evolving too. So you're going to need extra room for that. So follow the plan. If you see a lot of things shifting and moving and changing, this is why. Now to take a look at gifts awakening for you. We already spoke about this a little bit, but it's really giving the oneness of the conscious and subconscious minds. This doesn't happen very common unless you are really devoted to your spiritual path. Meaning that this isn't really a gift that people necessarily have because they had one spiritual awakening when they were 15 years old. And all work is good work. All spiritual work is good work. As long as you are on a path and you are headed somewhere and you are having good intentions and you are evolving, as long as you are doing what it is that's meant for you, which we all do inadvertently, this isn't very common for a gift to come through. It's not necessarily something that can be pushed or forced. It's something that happens as a consequence to devotion to spirituality, to a lot of spiritual work. And so, first of all, group number one, I want to make sure that you feel seen today. I see you. It's beautiful. Thank you for being who you are in the world. You're a beautiful, magical, wonderful light. Also, to come back around to these gifts, this is also entering the area of, what yoga calls cities, which kind of means yogic superpowers, for lack of a better term. But ultimately, this is where the spiritual gifts start to get a little funky, appearing as apparitions in front of other people being positive that you were here and there at the same time. This is a little more than just you showing up in people's dreams at night. This is you showing up in people's daydreams when someone else can account for where you were before. Again, this is the energy of many things becoming one, and one thing becoming many things. So with your spiritual gifts and abilities, I definitely would not be surprised if you maybe had an interest in things like telekinesis, if you maybe were working with some of the raw elements like water, trying to shift and move water, a little bit of water bending action there, or if you're trying to bend a spoon. Definitely would not be surprised if you were working on things like working with molecules in a particular way. So things like levitation, where you're taking a look at the positive and negative energetic fields, and you are trying to attune your energy in order to create a resistance there. Like if Earth gives out negative ions, right? So if you charge your root chakra to negative ions and you've got enough practice, that is how yogis levitate. So, and of course it's easier said than done. I'm not channeling this message to you floating off of my chair. Nope, I am grounded here. But this is the kind of territory that we're getting in for your spiritual gifts and abilities. So while you might not be opening up all of them, and I'll never say never because you never know who's watching, definitely there are going to be, let's just say there might be a couple funky gifts that are coming up for you. You're going to be really excited about them. They're going to be really fun. They're definitely going to be things that are easier said than done and might kind of break the minds of others if you were to tell them about it a little bit. Which in this process, as a grounded human who is aware of who they are, where they are, what time it is, the present moment, right? It is going to be important for you to work with those affirmations of self-love, to be an unconditional love for yourself, for the universe, and also for the process here. Follow the plan. There's a reason for all of these things. There's a reason for the gifts. There's a reason for the journey. There's a reason for this chapter. There's a reason for your experience of these things, walking through this chapter with these new gifts, experiencing what you do, feeling relatable or unrelatable, or any of those beautiful things that we experience, all of those nuances, also part of a plan. So we're keeping that in mind as well. So let's take a look at what it is that you're learning here. So we're going to move on to Tiny Tarot, and let's see what is group 1 learning in this next chapter of their spiritual journey. What is group 1 learning? Okay. We have 9 of Cups. Yeah, we've got unconditional love and Nine of Cups here, which is really beautiful. So this is talking a lot about loving the self. You might feel a little bit like an outcast for whatever reason, maybe just in general in life, or due to the fact that you're experiencing spiritual aspects or nuances that maybe you can't really, let's just use the example that's in front of us here, find a pick a card reading on YouTube that might relate with it. You might be the kind of person who will try every single reader out there and you absolutely cannot find one that can read your energy. You might be the kind of person who you might find a small random collection of books that relate to what it is that you experience. You might find one path, two paths that relate to what it is that you experience. You might be able to find them in deep yogic texts. You might be able to find them in deep Qigong, deep Taoism, right? Chinese medicine, like advanced level. Maybe even reading Shnoom, right? A little Zoroastrianism out there for you. But if you were to walk around the market or the store where you usually get your groceries, you likely will not run into anybody else who has even heard of what it is that you're walking through right now. And if they have, they're definitely not experiencing it. So there's a little bit of this energy here. So what you're learning here, it is self-love. It is a lot of self-love here, and also your happiness. There is this energy of fulfillment, of liberation, of feeling like yourself and expressing, Eight of Wands, expressing yourself, Nine of Cups here, in a way that allows you to ground something new, unconditional love, into this paradigm here with the Six of Swords. Ultimately, what you are learning right now is how to be one layer deeper of your authentic self. What you are learning through this is how to express one layer deeper of your soul through this body, through this life, through this mind, and how you can find or create a place for that. Because this world has so many different structures and standards and, let's say, social expectations here as well. And some of them might require you to self-abandon things that you love about yourself, fun things that you want to say, cool places you want to go to, travel, internal travel or external travel. And you're going to learn as well that it only matters that you end up getting where you're going. And I'm hearing this old phrase, how do I get to where I'm going? I believe this is from Alice in Wonderland. Do you know which path to take? Well, do you know where you're going? No? Then it doesn't matter which path you take. So there's a little bit of this lighthearted energy that wants to come through here with that. But ultimately making sure that you end up somewhere that you put yourself. Well, I mean, you always will, inevitably, but making sure that even if you don't exactly know where you're going, you are glad with where you end up because you know you put yourself there on purpose, intentionally, basically. So to look at these numbers here, we've got Sagittarius, so we do have higher learning. What you are learning is, first and foremost, how much you have learned, how much you have evolved. For some of you, you might be finding a re-inspiration with the 9 and the 8 of Wands energy, a re-inspiration for maybe it's learning languages, maybe it's traveling, maybe it's studying world religions or cultures, theology, theosophy, philosophy, any of the ologies out there, or travel, higher learning, right? So you might be reawakening a passion that you have. You might be learning in yourself that you deserve to express. You want to express something that you maybe wanted to do, or it seems a little difficult to ground, a little difficult to anchor. This might be the kind of thing where, to pull an example from my own life, I'm an author, right? I've published books. I've been writing my entire life. It was my first hobby I ever had. It was the first dream I ever had as a kid when I wanted to be an author. I'm now a published author. My inner child loves it. I have so much fun when I write. I love to write. I've loved it my entire life. I used to make up stories before I could even write them down. And I've just been doing this my whole entire life. There hasn't been a year of my life I haven't written something. However, when it comes to writing and publishing a book, for example, that makes it a little more, well, let's just say stressful, right? It's like you might be really interested in a particular topic and want to study it and put all your notes together, but if you're in school and they say you have to write a 20-page dissertation or a huge thesis, and a lot of theses and dissertations are longer than 20 pages, that might sound a little bit less fun than just having fun with all of your interested topics and putting together a big collection of, woohoo, these are things that I like and I learn them and it's fun and we love it, right? So to me, when I write a book, it's kind of a similar process. So what we have here is something that you remember that you love. So let's say, just for the example that I just used, something like writing a book, something like writing an album, something that seems a little bit like, well, this is really fun in theory, it's really fun in practice, I've always loved to do it, it's always been relevant for me. However, as I grew, I started to meet more and more people who were also authors, or who liked to write and they wouldn't let themselves write, or because they were authors, there's not room for you to be an author because that's their thing. So many different nuances and things like this that will come up, and that's my journey, right? That's my personal path here. Reasons why I should take up space, I shouldn't take up space, who do I think I am to take up that space, and I'm just being exactly who I've been since I was 2 years old, and that's it. And so what you're learning here is something similar to this. How you can love yourself and to expressing something that might seem like for some reason, whatever reason, there's a little bit of a difficulty in grounding it into 6, your everyday life. The 8 here talks about things that are maybe hidden or unseen, which we'll get to in a minute, but it's also something that's maybe hidden, it's in the depths of your soul. 8 can also be something that's taboo. And 8 of Wands talks about fast forward movement. So this can be expression, it can be communication, it can be travel, as well as all of you know, 8 of Wands, it's a very popular expect that message card. It's a very popular, expected trip, traveling card. But it's also fast forward movement. And so with 8 here, this is something that is either unseen, or it's hidden, or it's something that you keep close to yourself, or it's something that's taboo for whatever reason. It can be largely taboo in your community, or it can also be something that's a little nuanced and taboo just for you. For example, well, I wanted to be a writer and I didn't get to do it, which means you shouldn't either. Or, well, I'm a writer, which means that you can't be a writer because this town's not big enough for the two of us, right? Something like this. And with the number 6 too, this is your everyday life, it's your health, right? So it might not be healthy for you to be around these people, but as long as you're around these people, it might not have been healthy for you to do that, whatever it is. There's also this energy of 6 is Virgo, which lets me know that you're also learning lessons about perfectionism, that 1, you already do better than you think that you're doing, so give yourself a little more credit. And 2, things don't need to be exactly perfect. Things are always, all the time, imperfectly perfect. So whenever you see something as perfect, that means you'll always be able to find imperfection in it. And when you deem something as imperfect, there can always be perfection that's found within it. It's part of the paradox, part of the nuance of being here on Earth. And also with 6 here, I also want to recognize that this is daily life. It can also have to do with being isolated, being alone. 6 is the hermit card in tarot. It's also here the energy of pets too. So this can mean that this is something where, well, when you are alone in nature, it's natural for this to exist. But if you have a conversation with somebody that creates whatever this thing is that you're learning, whatever this thing is that you like, whatever this authentic sense of self-expression that's coming through, whatever it is, you might talk to someone and they're like, well, that's not in nature, but it is. You're in nature. And when you're in nature alone, you feel it, you see it, you experience it, you love it. When you are by yourself, maybe this is something that thrives in nature. Maybe they're spiritual gifts, like you picking up light codes from a tree or from the sun. But if you are with a group of people who maybe aren't spiritual at all, it might be weird if you start sitting in front of a tree and start moving your hands and maybe doing light language and chanting and channeling. And honestly, those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter. And that is something that I will hone in on for the rest of my days. But this also talks about something here where when you're alone, it's no problem. There's unconditional love here. You can work on the affirmations all day. You can express this when you're alone. And so what you are learning is that sometimes who you are when you're alone is going to evolve. And it's going to be one layer deeper of maybe misunderstood, one layer deeper of maybe unrelatable, one layer deeper of quirky or spiritual, and that's okay. And that is perfect in its own right. And the way that shapes your everyday life from now on is going to be something that shows you deeper levels of how things naturally happen in nature. Because one can only see others as deeply as they see themselves, but when you see yourself this deeply, you start to see things like this that do exist in nature that others might not be able to see. And so this is really cool, beautiful, and what you're learning. So, to take a look at what you don't see, there's an integration of the self coming through. So there is a new beginning, a transformation, a glow up, if you will, that's happening for you and around you in your life. You have a new beginning here, and you're not going to be seeing this, well, because you're going to be really focused on whatever this is that's coming up for you in this reading. you're really going to be integrating these new parts of yourself. You're going to be working with these gifts. You're going to be finding out what this relates to, how this fits in your life, how you fit in the world around you, pertaining these things, all of this. But what you're not going to see is actually how this makes you more beautiful on the outside. You're also not going to see that this brings new beginnings for you. You're not going to see all of the doors that this opens at first. There's also this huge energy of divine intervention, of divine intentionality here as well, as though this change was always something that was meant to happen. And that unconditional love is at the root of all of this. So it is normal. It does exist in nature. It is very natural for this to be something that you're experiencing, all of these spiritual gifts and abilities and this experience in and of itself, because you're able to trace it all back to love. It's like if you have a really complicated mathematical equation, it might be difficult. Everyone might not be able to solve it, but when it does get solved, the answer is pi, the golden ratio. And at that point, you did all of this work, and of course it was going to be pi. It was always going to be pi. Of course it was going to be unconditional love, the golden ratio. It was always going to be unconditional love. That was always what this was about. And so it will feel more and more natural over time. But the way that the universe has been loving you is something that you haven't been seeing lately as much. Maybe you have been in a little more overt ways, but in the covert ways, the behind the scenes ways, you haven't necessarily been seeing how the universe is maybe working in your favor in certain aspects that you've been wanting, wishing, hoping, praying, manifesting. And this is going to be revealed to you. But what you don't see right now is a new beginning with material matters. So with your love life, because the energy here is 2, this is the consumption of Venus energy. So receiving of all things nice, sparkly, fun, the receiving of also things that align with your morals and values, the receiving of better friendships, better romance, better familial relationships, the receiving of material abundance in all ways, shapes, and forms. So receiving this beautiful energy coming through as well. So this is what you don't see, is that this is actually the spiritual part of a new physical chapter. But the attention's on the spiritual when the physical starts to roll out. And that's why it's not what you see. It's kind of like when you focus on the physical realm and the spirituality just kind of starts popping off. It's this, but inside out. So this is what you don't see. So let's pull a message of encouragement for you. I'm really being shown this follow the plan card here. So can we get a message of encouragement, please, for group number 1 about the next chapter of their spiritual journey? Thank you. Okay, so your ancestors are guiding you very strongly. They want you to know to stand in your power in the ways that they didn't get to. I'm getting that they didn't come so far. They didn't come so far for you to not go as far as you possibly can, right? They want you to do this for you. They also want you to know that not only are they around you, but they want to see you strut your stuff a little bit more. A word of encouragement here is that when these good things start coming in, which they already have and they will continue to, you have earned every single bit of it. What I'm getting here is this might be connected to a little bit of whatever this lesson is that you're learning here about, hey, you don't have to work harder to earn love. You don't have to earn love. You don't have to earn respect. You don't have to earn liking the things that you like. You don't have to earn having the right to just be who you are, take up space in the world. And so there's something here coming through about a message of encouragement about this. Communicate, 5, blue, communicate who you are. Say it loudly, take up space. Say it louder for the people in the back. Say it louder for the ops. Who cares? They really want you to come through and love yourself so much that you feel so empowered and that no one can shake you off that pedestal. Put that crown on your head. And if you think that, who am I to be on that pedestal? Who am I to put that crown on my head? Your ancestors want to come through and say, well, you better get up on that pedestal because that's the first step of the mountain that you're climbing. And each one is exalted. It's not a difficult uphill battle kind of climb this time. This time you're being exalted. So get up on that pedestal, wear that crown, and put on your working hat because you're about to be exalted again and again and again. We've got a whole staircase for you. So this is definitely your ancestors coming through. You're also going to find here that there is someone in your ancestral line or in your family or in your heritage closely related to you in blood in some way, shape, or form who either does something similar to you, connects with you in this way, or is able to kind of relate to you pertaining to this, because they understand the ancestral call to do something. They understand maybe the area of expertise, or the flavor, or the conditions with which you were raised, or the culture with which you are paying forward. So, for example, my ancestors on the spiritual side, they are all Baltic. So they are from what is now Croatia, Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina. So when I connect with my ancestors in that way, there's kind of a very special flavor of spirituality that kind of goes back to my quasi-nomadic, quasi-spiritual kind of ancestors there. And through that line of ancestors, through the women there, they have all insane spiritual gifts. They all work in the spiritual field in some way, shape, or form. And it's only through that bloodline. So there's something like that is coming through for you. So this lets me know that there are people that are in some way, shape, or form related to you that can understand or relate with your spiritual experience in a way that others cannot. So for example, if you found your home in tarot, but the spiritual experience you have with your ancestors, it's more connected to nature, then you'll find that people in your ancestors, they're able to see you through that connection to nature and be like, oh yeah, I remember when I was really into tarot, that helped me out a lot, but this is what feels like home to me, not just what's available to me. So there's that difference there. There's something here that wants to come through as a message of encouragement, letting you know that you're not alone on the earth, and of course in spirit as well. And that you deserve to stand in your power. You're definitely going to be popping off, standing out with the spiritual gifts here. And you might be a little bit shy about being in the limelight or channeling light language if there are other people around, or putting your gifts out there, or even just talking about it, whatever it is. You might feel shy about experiencing this gift. Some of you, if you're cracking open mediumship, for example, I know that can be scary for some people the first time they open up clairvoyance or mediumship or something like this. So whatever this is, do stand in your power. And then that advice that I gave right in the beginning, find your spiritual anchor and find your physical anchor so that everything can work within that. Great ways to pull yourself out are to transmute into light, find that light, that God, source, universe, spirit energy, but find that anchor. And also that grounded energy too. So you can pull yourself into earth. You can pull yourself back into your body, ground yourself into the earth. So both ways work, right? One is more permanent. The spirit way is a little more of a permanent fix, and the grounded way is a little more of a putting a band-aid on it fix, but they both work. And it's important to make sure that you have that, you have access to that container so that if you're floating away from your body, you can still find it, right? If you are experiencing things that are laying on top of your physical reality with spiritual gifts, you have that spiritual anchor. So you know that no matter how deep you crawl through that tunnel, it's light at the other end. It's spirit at the other end, right? So maintaining that is really good for you. I also want to say that there is some ancient knowledge that's coming through here that's ancestral. I was called to put this petrified wood here, and the ancestors card is coming out, and there's this energy of the earth ancestors, the ancestors of earth, the ancestors of humanity, ancient knowledge and wisdom of lost civilizations, whether that be something that doesn't exist anymore but you know about, or something that doesn't exist anymore that people don't know about, whatever that is. So there's definitely this ancient wisdom that wants to come through here that you will be able to find through your ancestral line. So you're not the only one in your ancestral line that will have experienced this. So this is a good place to look for advice spiritually. If you are feeling anything as you embolden yourself into these spiritual gifts, as you stand into your power. So this is letting you know you're not the only one in your ancestral line that has experienced this. So you might not be the only cycle breaker in your family who's actually doing the work. Or you might notice that your great-great-grandmother or great-great-grandfather or whoever it was, your cousin, your third cousin, might have the same spiritual gifts as you, or might have experienced something similar to you. Now, they might have different ends, they might have different means, but there is something that is relatable there to you that you have yet to find. So, trust again that you receive the spiritual gift, you receive these upgrades, the spiritual journey, because this is all about you leveling up with your spiritual gifts and leveling up also in your physical life while you are dealing with maneuvering these new spiritual gifts. And so remember the message that came out right in the beginning. These are gifts that come through when you devote yourself to the spiritual path. These aren't gifts that come through willy-nilly because you sat in ceremony once. These aren't gifts that come through willy-nilly because you had a spiritual awakening one time. These are things that happen when you truly devote yourself to the spiritual path for a very long period of time, very intently. So when this success comes in, you earned it, especially in your physical life too, because you've been focusing really, really hard and you've been through a lot of adversity. So when this comes through, when the spiritual success comes through, you earned it. And don't you dare believe otherwise. And when the spiritual success comes through, you earned it. And don't you dare believe otherwise, because you deserve it. Because everything that could be considered imperfect, it's actually perfect. And everything that could be considered perfect, it is imperfect. So, with that being said, this is the next chapter of your spiritual journey, group number 1. I hope this helps shed love, light, and clarity for you. If you're interested in personals, I do offer those. Again, they're on my Etsy store, which you can find in the description box below. I'm on Etsy at Spiritualistik. If you're interested in exclusive content, I do have one here on YouTube, one on Patreon, and one on TikTok. They're all different content, so if you feel drawn to a particular collective, you can hang out with us over there. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, week, month, year, and incarnation in this beautiful magical realm. I want to ask before I forget, if you wouldn't mind liking this video, commenting on the video, subscribing to my channel. It helps me out a lot. I love what I do. It helps other people find the messages that they need when they need them. And it's a really nice way to just give me a little pat on the back or a little hug or let me know you appreciate it, because it means the world to me. And also, I love you and I'm grateful for you. And I'll see you next time. Namaste. Hi there, group 2. Namaste and welcome to your reading. Today we're taking a look at the next chapter of your spiritual journey, and you selected the second group with the black and white light code. So group 2, in this reading we're going to be going over the next chapter of your spiritual journey. We'll look at the main themes, spiritual gifts and abilities that are awakening for you, what you're learning, what you don't see, and a message of encouragement. Advice usually comes through organically, so we'll take a look at this. So group number 2. To scry off this light code, first and foremost, I'm definitely getting that there's universal energy that is permeating through your physical. So it's really beautiful. Before we get into it a little more, I want to notice 2 things here. I'm noticing that there is almost a spiral here, which talks about alpha, omega, beginning, and it's also transmutation. It's the spiritual journey, whether you're going up into spirit or down from spirit into earth. It also resembles the chokure in Reiki a little bit, for those of you who understand that. And that means basically spirit place energy here. So you also selected the light code here of the Gold Star Life Force Chakra. This is the name of the Life Force Energy Chakra, Gold Star Chakra, Gold Star Life Force Chakra. And this is placed between your sacral and solar plexus chakra in the larger expanded chakra systems. So this talks about your life force energy, your chi, prana, life force. And so this next chapter of your spiritual journey, it is all about bringing life force energy into your life. So we're talking about energizing, like energization of the body, energization of certain areas of life. Where your energy is going is really expanding and is really standing out at this point in time. So where you place not just your efforts, but your energy, where you place your focus and attention is going to be growing. You're going to notice your manifestation abilities come online a little bit more, but the theme here is energizing. It's conscious energization and relaxation of where you place that energy. So consciously, maybe this is you connecting with your body awareness a little bit more, energizing your body, different areas of your body, looking at where you're holding tension, where it is that you're focusing, looking in your life, looking in your house, where it is that you're holding tension, where is it cluttered, and where it is that's relaxed, where is it holding space. And finding the intention of placing energy and removing energy. Looking at prana, chi, life force. You might also notice that there's a change to your diet. You might notice you want to get more fresh air or sunshine if you can. You might also notice that you are drawn towards not just like high vibrational foods with a high wavelength frequency, but also foods that hold more life force energy, which means you might feel a little bit of an aversion or just be straying away from naturally things like frozen foods or processed foods or canned foods. So as you can imagine, a plant that is growing from the earth and it's still in the ground, it is still growing, it is thriving with chi, prana, life force energy. It is filled, it is alive, it is growing, it's got chi, life force energy flowing to it, flowing through it, flowing around it. And so when you pick that plant, it is still closely related to that life force chi. It has been plucked, but it's still there. And when you take that and you process it, it's just one more layer removed. And when you take it and you process it and you maybe can it, then it's 2 more layers removed. And then when you freeze it, it would be 2 or 3 more layers removed, depending on the process, right? So, and that's not to say good or bad, you make your own decisions based on what you feel is best for you, but you're going to be drawn in that way, probably in this particular example, to the closest to life force. So you might find yourself getting into foraging. You might find yourself wanting to pick dandelion flowers instead of popping an Advil. Not medical advice. But things like this. You might find yourself drawn to places or spaces or people or foods or things of higher levels of chi, higher levels of consciousness as well. So you might be a little pickier about the yoga teacher that you go to. You might be a little pickier about your morning routine. You might feel like, I just have to go outside today, and it's gotta be when the sun is out and the clouds have finally moved. So with that being said, you're going to find yourself kind of following your internal compass closer to higher consciousness. It seems as though you've had an awakening of consciousness. And that where this is, you're at a place where you're not really experiencing the spiritual phenomena. You're at a place of peace. Not that you don't have the spiritual gifts, but that you've kind of maybe awakened out of them. Your consciousness is far removed from this. Not that you don't tap in with them, but that you are more closely related to, let's just say, source, chi, prana, spirit, than any of the nuances on the journey to get there. And this isn't to say that you are perfect or done with your growth or journey. This is to say that when you close your eyes, you probably see something close to Om, or close to light, golden light, or violet flame, or source, or something that is high vibrational in consciousness. You might even connect with space, just space, Akash. And so, this is outside of the astral. It's outside of the causal. And so because of this, you're going to notice that this energy can come through, but it permeates through the causal and the astral into the physical reality. But because you've had this awakening of consciousness, because it's been a while, because you've had this awakening, this next chapter of your spiritual journey for you, it is going to be you finding that you don't have to put as much effort into making sure that you are doing the right things, because you're naturally drawn to different things now. It's kind of like if you train yourself to like fruits and vegetables instead of training yourself to like candy, right? So both are sugar, and you might train yourself to like sugar or not like sugar, but if you don't try to kind of expose yourself to fruits and have the natural sugar instead of candy, and again, this is just the example that's coming through, the things that make you happy and you feel are good for you are exactly what I'm going to encourage you to follow. But for example's sake here, if you want to eat more fruit that is a whole food that has more life force energy, and you might have to maybe set an intention to try to make yourself eat more fruit. You have to set the intention to maybe pick up an apple instead of dipping into that bowl of candy, to maybe soak the beans like 24 hours before you want to eat them instead of just reaching for that can in your pantry. You might find yourself organically making more decisions like this after kind of training yourself to try to make better, higher vibrational decisions in life in general, whether it's kicking a bad habit, putting the cigarettes down, or whether it's adopting good habits, showing up on the yoga mat, honoring your lunar cycle, whatever it is for you. Now, this next chapter of your spiritual journey, this is about you placing the energy intentionally. So not trying to recalibrate your physical life and body and actions to align with the consciousness that you have. Now these things are habitual. And so now you can detach from that process, and you can actually start to intentionally place this chi, this prana, this energy into different areas of life, areas of your body, areas in general, which means that when it comes to these gifts that are awakening for you, most likely we're going to be taking a look at things like grid work, like energy healing, or even soul activation of others who are ready, willing, and able. But this has a lot to do, this next chapter, with the manifestation, your conscious manifestation. So you're not probably manifesting things like, you might be manifesting things like source into your life. And so all things that manifest under that umbrella of source energy will come into your life easily because you're manifesting source. However, if you manifest patience, you're going to find opportunities to become patient, right? But if you manifest from a higher consciousness, then the things that are under that umbrella come through. So instead of directing your attention to, I really want money, I really want money, I really want money, I really want to go to Dubai, right? You will receive opportunities to work really hard or make money or make smarter decisions or go to Dubai or something like this. If you manifest, and I'm not saying that you can't want these things. You're human with desires and it's normal. However, what we're looking at here is conscious intention and placement of energy. So you're already organically, now habitually moving in a higher vibrational direction that's in alignment with your subconscious manifestations of a higher level consciousness, which means that things like this will be coming in for you more easily, which means that you no longer have to focus your efforts as much because now you focus your energy. You've already trained yourself, for lack of a better term, to habitually move in a better direction. Now in consciousness, you've got a little more space to act and behave a little more freely because you're already trained towards the higher vibrational energies. So it's a really cool energy here. Let's take a look a little more at the main themes for you. So taking a look at the mini oracle, what are main themes for this next chapter of Group 2 Spiritual Journey? Main themes for Group number 2's next chapter of their spiritual journey. Okay. Someone's hiding, who are you? Less is more, exactly. Do you like my little song? So, and I love that. And look, we have energization at the back of the deck here. And grow like a plant. Yes, of course. The analogy that I had in the beginning, the topic that came through, and less is more. And I will leave it simple like this because it honors the energy. So what you're learning is that you don't need to run around like crazy trying to make sure that you're doing everything right, you're meditating right, you're doing everything right, because you're now naturally, habitually there. So it's beautiful. Now you'll notice that less effort manifests things easier. Again, manifestation abilities, because you're working through prana, chi, life force energy. You are sending life force energy to wherever it's needed, whether it be an area of your home, an area of your life, an area of your body, an area of your spirit, within you or outside of you. So the main themes here are you don't need to push as hard. You don't need to train yourself as hard. You don't need to learn as much anymore because you've awakened out of that level. You've awakened out of that paradigm. You don't need to go down the rabbit hole of Alice in Wonderland to see Wonderland because you've already been down there. You know what's down there. You went down a few more times just to make sure. You wrote it all down. You memorized it all. You were a tour guide down there for a while. And now you are sitting under a tree, having learned everything that you've learned. You've processed it. Now you're moving on with your life from a place of understanding, having done that. And so with less is more here, you're understanding that you can see the microcosm of source and see it in all, which is beautiful. Now your manifestations are going to be speeding up and they're going to be coming through a little bit more effortlessly, but you're going to notice as well that the manifestations that come from the solar plexus might feel a little bit of stagnation or they might be a little slower, but the ones that come from right below your solar plexus, the gold star chakra, Spirit's asking me to make this differentiation for you so you can vibe it out because they're close to each other. Those will show up with like the speed of light, pun intended, like flying colors. So again, the gold star chakra is between the sacral chakra and the solar plexus chakra. It is right in the middle. That is where you hold your life force energy. This is why so many people think that the sacral chakra is their connection to their life force energy. It is not, but it is very easy to believe that. It is actually in between. Now, this is also the reason why you have this precision of energy. And when it comes to your spiritual gifts and abilities, which we will take a look at in a moment, you're going to find that where you place energy matters. Of course. But now you don't need to train it in yourself. You can just move forward with it. So you're going to find spiritually that you can place energy towards people that need it, towards different places. You're going to find that focusing your attention to people, cities, worlds, paradigms that need it is going to actually make a difference. You're going to find that when you place focus and attention and life force energy somewhere, you can energize that and you can pull energy away from it. And it's going to be something that when you practice it within your body, within your energy field, within your home, within your city, your community, your country, the world, many worlds, the spiritual realm, right, the cosmos, you will find that you as a piece of cosmos incarnate are like you have sanction over a particular amount of energy and you have access to infinite energy. And so this gift that you have that's coming online, it is going to feel like you can perform miracles. Maybe not materializing something in front of your face kind of miracles, but maybe spontaneous awakening, maybe miraculous healing, maybe sending energy somewhere, being able to manifest something very quickly, because it takes simply focus and direction and energization. And again, in order to find out which way it will manifest, I'm once more alluding to the difference between the solar plexus and sacral chakras and the gold star life force energy. So if you find that space, that chakra, and you pull it up against your spine and you feel it all nice and healthy, it is gold, not yellow and not orange, but gold, right? You'll be able to feel that from here, if you direct your energy outwards, if you so choose, it has wonderful miraculous healing abilities. Now also, this is going to be the place in your body, specifically if you are a woman, that holds the energy of your stem cells. So if you're interested in energy healing, that is an interesting thing that you might want to take a look at. I could make so many videos about that and those techniques. They work wonders, but for right now, I'm going to leave it at that. So let's take a look at what you're learning. So what is group number 2 learning? What is group number 2 learning through this next chapter of their spiritual journey? We're taking a look at my tiny tarot. So Ace of Pentacles. 9 of Swords. Oh, interesting. So what you're learning right now, I'm really being shown this 1 is 3 and 3 is 1 energy. Archimedes can be significant for some of you. What I'm really picking up here, what you're learning is that you have access to more new beginnings, but it required you to kind of be sick and tired of the old ones. You needed to take some time to retrain yourself to habitually make healthier decisions. Now they happen on autopilot. This is what we spoke about in the beginning. And less is more. You don't need to do more for the same results. If something's going to happen in 5 years on one date at one time, the way that you get there, as long as you're walking that path, you can sprint, you can take little breaks along the way, but you are meant to get at one place at one time specifically. Let's just say that is a non-changeable date, or it's a non-changeable destination, just for simplicity's sake. Then you can do less. It's not saying to be lazy, but it's saying you don't need to push, you don't need to force, you don't need to tire yourself out, because things are going to happen in their natural organic flow anyway. And so you tapping in with this natural organic flow, it lets you drop some of those stressors a little bit. It lets you take a look at where perhaps you have been in your head, where you've been stressing yourself out, and release that. So you're learning how to release maybe some stress, some anxiety, some pressure, maybe being hard on yourself a little bit. And with the Ace of Pentacles, you're also learning that there is a whole new chapter of life ahead of you that you haven't even thought about yet, that you haven't even considered. And this is huge, because it's saying that this is almost kind of showing up as a reward for reaching this level of consciousness, but it's more closely related to when you kind of reach a new level in a video game and you have more access to the map, you have more access to different tools and different gifts and different things like this. But you had to walk the video game in order to get there. There's not really a cheat sheet in order to get in that level. You had to do the work to get there. So it's a little less transactional. It's not really, congratulations, you're spiritual, here's your reward, this new beginning, this new life, new earth, right? No, not that. Rather, this is you put one foot in front of the other, and because you continued along the journey, inevitably you would reach this place. And now, you can be hands-off, and you can direct your energy, your energization, or remove the energy. Now, I don't want to say your energy. It's the energy. It's life force energy. So you're drawn naturally towards things that have more life force energy, whether it's food or people or spots in nature or communities. And you're going to be able to add to that. You're going to be able to relocate that energy. And also take a look at the way that this parallels in your physical home, in your bedroom, in your house. I'm really getting that very strongly as well with 9. This is a very powerful number in Feng Shui. So some of you might be interested in that as well. It is said that if you move 9 things, or if you move things in variables of 9, it is meant to bring better luck, better energy, more chi to and through your home. You can move 9 things just to move 9 things and bring a fresh energy. Or if you're moving things, try to do it in variables of 9. Okay. You don't need to hyperfixate on it, but it's a magical number in that sense. It's also the border of our reality. So we've got 3, 6, 9. These are the magical numbers, right? 9 is the brink. It's the edge of our reality. And 10 is that layer where you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. 11 and 12 are outside of it. So 9 is the end of our reality. 10 is the portal. So with the 9 of Swords here, this is saying that you are closing out a chapter of an old belief, a mental system, or like a mental system pertaining to needing to do the most, a mental system pertaining to you needing to be burnt out, a mental system pertaining to there's no beginning, you get what you get, you don't throw a fit, you just have to push and force until things end up working for you. Rather, you turned inwardly and you started to change certain habits. Now it's going to happen almost on accident, inadvertently, and you'll find as well that your energization techniques for your mind, your body, your soul, for geography, for different realms, it actually has a bigger impact the less that you do and the more focused your attention is. So you might be interested in something like yoga, like the Ashtangas. I'm really being shown Pratyahara, Dhyana, Dharana. When you naturally meditate your mind, then focus naturally occurs. Or when you are super focused, meditation naturally occurs. Concentration naturally occurs. So when you turn your mind inwardly and you focus, then meditation and consciousness is a natural symptom. It's a natural event that occurs afterwards. But if you're pushing it, then it's a little trickier and less easy to realize. For example, if you're thinking about not thinking about anything, well, you're thinking about something. But if you breathe, then you genuinely can clear your mind, right? But if you mantra within, don't think, don't think, don't think, you're thinking about something, right? So it's a little bit of that nuance. When you look within, and this is what you've been doing, you look within and you focus. So now you're at this focus place. And so now it's, okay, so now it evolves, it expands, it awakens in consciousness, and you've been here. But now it's permeating through your physical life. So your manifestations, healing abilities, your ability to direct just chi, life force, prana, energy into certain areas of life, whether it's an aspect of your home. For example, the part of the Bagua in your home that relates to learning and self-development, or to travel and helpful friends and things like that. Where you direct your energy, we've all heard this, where your energy goes, or where your attention goes, energy grows. Where your energy goes, energy grows. But now we're deleting the word you and your. Where energy goes, energy grows. You being a vessel, you being a conduit. And this is that difference between the sacral or the solar plexus chakra manifestations and the gold star life force chakra manifestations. So this is what you're learning in the next chapter of your spiritual journey, especially pertaining to the new beginning that's here for you. And what you don't see, I want to say here very specifically, what you don't see is the fact that, one, you are so deep into your spiritual journey. You might know it, but you don't really truly realize how your consciousness truly is. It's like, from, let's just say, an outside perspective, you are so used to your level of consciousness and your level of spirituality that you almost forgot how far you've walked along this journey, how deep it truly goes, how deeply ingrained it truly is. And there is also this energy of occult knowledge that's coming through, something that's occult, just in a general sense. So it can be something that's hidden, something that's ancient, something that's witchy, something that's spiritual, whatever that is for you. Something that's hidden is actually the fact that you are more clued in, again, than you're giving yourself credit for. And it's also something that has been, what's hidden is also the fact that there's something hidden from you. What's hidden is the fact that there's something hidden from you. And this has to do with energization. So there's an area of life. So to bring it back into spirituality, back into consciousness, there's an area of life or an area of self where you have not been directing energy. And I'm sure there's a reason for this. It can be happy or sad or good or bad, but there's an area of life, and this is what's hidden, what you don't see, that there's an area of life that you have not been energizing. You might feel it through a chakra. You might see it in an area of life. You might see it around your house or around something. And so I would like to challenge you, if you so choose, to maybe feel which one of your chakras you're the least comfortable with, or take a look at your house. What is something that you haven't touched in a really long time? What is an area of your house that maybe you don't like to move things, or you don't go into that section very often, or maybe things are collecting dust over there, or maybe everything is just exactly the way that it should be and you don't touch it anymore. Whereas maybe other areas of your house might look like they're lived in. They might look like, oh, your bookshelf, it's always rotating because you're always reading new books. But that area of your house with all the candles, maybe you haven't lit them in a very long time. Maybe it's there because you want to see it. You don't want to use the candles. You don't want to smell them. You just want the candles to be there, right? So taking a look at something like this, what is hidden is that there's something that's hidden from you, and it's going to be energized. And when it does, it's going to spark this new beginning. But it's going to be something that you either allowed to collect dust, don't pay attention to, or there's a reason why you de-energized it. It's almost because it's your superpower, or it's where you have a leg up in this life. And so for some reason, this ended up being, maybe it's a wound, maybe it's something that's taboo, because it is, the representation is scorpionic that's coming through here, a little Plutonian. So there's this transformative energy. There's something that you have that is transformative, something that you can do that's transformative, an area of life that for you is transformative, and you know this. It's a superpower for you, and for this reason, maybe you're uncomfortable with your own power, maybe you're uncomfortable with the concept, maybe you don't like whatever it is. But when you energize this, whatever this is to you, you will realize the reason why you kept it hidden from yourself is because this is where your new beginning lies. And you promised to yourself that you would be at a certain level of consciousness before you unlock or unveil this. Spiritually, not physically. I'm sure physically you would have loved all of your little manifestations to come through, right? You want money, you need it, right? You want good friends, you need them, right? You want healthy relationships, you love them, you need them, right? You want to go on vacation, gosh knows you could use it, right? So like this, you're going to find that now that you've unlocked this, it unleashes this new level of the video game. But now less is more. So now you are not putting more energy. You're not expending energy, and you're not expending your energy. You are redirecting the energy, not your energy, the energy. And you are directing it. You are energizing or you are relaxing. And that's all that it is. It's energizing or relaxing. It's not draining. It's not giving. It's not receiving. It's not charging. It's not draining. Rather, it's energizing or it's relaxing. So a little food for thought there for you of what you don't see. So let's pull a message of encouragement for you. Group number 2. Let's pull our final message of encouragement for group number 2 for the next chapter of their spiritual journey. This is my Follow Your Heart Oracle. Astrological transits. I am hearing it's not you, it's the transits, okay? So, I'm getting to tell you, roll with the punches for right now. And it always doesn't hurt to have a good idea of what's going on and how it pertains to you specifically. If you do want an astrology reading, group number 2, I have been giving them for over 10 years now. So if you would like an astrology reading from me, you can find them on my Etsy store. They're going to be in the description box. Etsy at Spiritualistik. I can give you any kind of astrology reading with any chart and anything about anything at all. So if you have a question about the transits, how they're affecting you, your soul's intention behind something that you're physically not comfortable with, or growth, or anything like that at all whatsoever, you can hit me up for that. Also, if you don't want to book a whole reading with me, a one-on-one, I did write a literal comprehensive guide to astrology. Like, that's the name of the book. So you can also just purchase my astrology book. There is way more than enough information in there, just so you know. It's all about alchemy and how it pertains to astrology. So it's how to apply astrology and everything you need to know. But it talks more about the alchemical aspects to utilizing it as a tool. So messages of encouragement here. Okay, you are in your right mind. It's not you, it's the transits. It's the first thing that I'm getting to tell you, which I giggle when that message comes through, which is rarely, but remember that what is logical to you during different transits, they might be influenced by a particular planet. Now, the planets do not rule us. They do not create us. They reflect what's going on, okay? But do keep in mind that sometimes there is a little bit of a shadow, like a retrograde or an eclipse or something that's transiting or aspecting your individual chart that might be sneaky. It might not be the transit everyone's talking about. It might be a tiny little transit that is affecting your chart in a big way. So take a look at that if that relates to you. Also, crystal light. It's really beautiful. I'm hearing the song Beautiful You Are. Group 2, you don't know how beautiful you are. I look at you and I see stars that shine. Beautiful. You're beautiful. Messages of encouragement here are, it's not you, it's the transits, okay? You know what's going on. The likelihood of you not succeeding in something, or the likelihood of you going backwards in some way, or the likelihood of you not getting a rest or not getting some time off or a break or something, it's very, very, very low. Like, it's not very probable. Is it possible? Sure, but it's not probable. And you are so beautiful. Less is more. You don't need to do more. You don't need to do more in order to feel something, be something, create something, look something. Less is more. Your era of pushing, of forcing, of struggling, it's over. And so you might find that there's a little bit of a transitional period as you get used to not needing to be in survival mode all the time, which is its own difficulty in and of itself. But it's one of those struggles that we learn that we're happy to have at the end of the day, because it doesn't make the struggle easier, but it just means that a difficult chapter is over. So, messages of encouragement are that you're going to get to sit down. You're going to have a little bit of a break energetically. Less is more. You're also going to find that a lot less focus, attention, energy goes a lot further. You're going to find that instead of having breadcrumb results for so much effort, you're going to find that a little bit of effort gives you astronomical results. So that's beautiful. Also, your energy field, it is perfect. Your chakras are attuned. Your aura is beautiful. Everything is cleared and cleansed. There's nothing for you to work through, to push through. There's nothing that you need to purge, nothing that you need to upgrade or cleanse, or like, it's flawless. It's literally perfect. It's beautiful. And you are the kind of person who might always be looking for something to do, right? Energetically. Message of encouragement is, if you want to do something to better yourself right now, group number 2, love yourself. Sit down, look in the mirror, tell yourself how absolutely beautiful and stunning you are inside and out. And remember that it's not your energy anymore. It's the energy. We don't ever really own anything in this world. And the realization of that might, shatter some egos. But at the end of the day, it was never up to you. It was up to you to be a vessel for the energy. but there's an infinite amount of that energy that you can possibly use, that you can possibly activate. When you think that it's yours and you have a certain amount, you think of it like a currency, right? And it makes our spiritual experiences and our physical experiences sometimes feel transactional. But at the end of the day, there's an infinite well of energy, an infinite well of wisdom, an infinite well of spirituality and of abundance. And by saying it's not yours and knowing that it is just life force energy, especially now that you've trained yourself to kind of be a compass towards extra life force, towards plants instead of frozen, towards high vibrational instead of lower vibrational, to kind of have that naturally be occurring in yourself. Now you don't need to give something that you have because you don't have anything. So what do you possibly have that you can give that's yours? Now you're a vessel. Now you're a conduit. And now what you have access to, it's infinite. So less is more. You're beautiful. You've broken through a paradigm here. And if you were to explain this experience to a lot of other people, group 2, you'd probably break their mind. So just rest assured that right now the transits are transiting. Okay. People are going through what they're going through, when they need to go through it, how they need to go through it perfectly, the way that they chose, the way that the universe chose. And the same thing is happening for you. So don't mind. Remember that, what is that phrase? I think I said it in group 1 too. I love it. Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter. And those who matter don't mind. Group number 2, this is the next chapter of your spiritual journey. If you're interested in an astrology reading with me, a tarot reading, channeling session, or Reiki, I do offer those on my Etsy at Spiritualistik. You can find that in the description box below, as well as my spiritual store. Or you can find these decks here. You can find my astrology book, my book on tarot, my guided journals, my unguided journals, crystals, candles, zodiac merch, spiritualistic merch, etc. There's lots of fun stuff up there. I'm also doing personalized light codes now if you're interested in that. So, as always, I love you and I'm grateful for you. Please like and comment on this video if you wouldn't mind. It helps me out a lot, gives me a little bit of encouragement, and it helps other people find the messages they need for them too. And if you wouldn't mind subscribing to my channel if you're not already there, it is a wonderful way just to give me a little bit of love, and it helps me reach my dreams one more inch, one extra push of a button. So thank you so much for that. If you're interested in exclusive content, I do have a platform here on YouTube, which is largely channeled messages. I have a platform on Patreon, which is largely tarot readings. And I have one on TikTok, which is where I'm doing collective readings and lives. So if any of those draw you in, then feel free to join the communities over there as you see fit. As always, I love you. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, week, month, year, and incarnation in this beautiful magical realm. I love you and I'm grateful for you, and I will see you next time. Namaste. Hi there, group 3. Namaste and welcome to your reading. Today we're taking a look at the next chapter of your spiritual journey, and you selected the third group with the pink light code. Group number 3. Today we're going to take a look at the next chapter of your spiritual journey. We're looking at the main themes, then the spiritual gifts and abilities that are awakening for you, what you're learning, what you don't see, and a message of encouragement. Advice will come out naturally throughout the reading. So, group number 3. The first message that I'm getting for you here is scrying off this light code is that this is something that you can do yourself. Whether this is channeling messages, reading cards, scrying, or creating light codes, there is something here that you can do yourself. In fact, you're very, very good at it. You definitely are showing up as a master of all things, maybe spiritual or channeling, or you're definitely a master of a spiritual craft in some way, shape, or form. Now, what I'm receiving here is that you have certainly gone through I'm hearing Kundalini awakening specifically. I don't throw that word around because Kundalini is one thing, awakening is another thing, and a Kundalini awakening is its own thing as well. But you've recently gone through a Kundalini awakening, or you have solidified the grounds of your Kundalini awakening. I'm also getting that you have done a wonderful job at breaking through your subconscious mind and receiving messages from your dream world. I'm definitely getting that you have been having either crazy dreams lately. They don't need to be crazy, meaning like out of whack or anything, but very vivid, maybe premonitions, maybe just letting you know extra context, information, spiritually, physically, things like this. But this next chapter of your spiritual journey for you is going to be about you seeing the premonitions that you've had play out. So if you've been receiving a few certain messages for a while, you're going to be noticing that this next chapter of your spiritual journey is largely one of confirmation and affirmation for you. Now, group number 3, the card that you selected, this Lightcode, it is actually for the crystalline blueprint. So this is an alignment and attunement to the energy of the crystalline blueprint. Now we each have our own crystalline blueprint. Even the energy of crystalline blueprint has its own crystalline blueprint. So this is essentially a refraction of astral energies that is one layer of light further. Some people call this rainbow aura, but that's a little denser. Crystalline blueprint, it's a little lighter. So this is a refraction of light that is not in the way that we perceive it with our eyes. It's a way that is beyond the astral, but it's a blueprint, it's a structure. This is kind of in between the astral body and the etheric template. The astral body relates to the 4th chakra, the heart chakra, and the etheric template relates to the 5th chakra, the throat chakra. The crystalline blueprint is the energy in between that is not the template that you maneuver through, but it is the energy blueprint that is currently ongoing. So not the one that you are working with, but the one that you are working on, if that makes sense. So with the crystalline blueprint, there's definitely an entire realm related to this that you can explore. And so this next chapter of your spiritual journey is going to be one where the realms that you have explored, they're going to be grounding in front of your face in more tangible ways. So if you resonate with having a particular energy as a past, present, future, parallel lifetime, if you receive certain information, certain premonitions, certain downloads, this is going to be the time where these things hit the ground running for you. And you're also going to notice that you can, in a way, sit back and relax and pay attention more to your physical body and the way that you feel comfortable. There's also an element of luxury that's coming through here. Do expect some free gifts. Well, nothing in this world is free, spiritually as well. But what I'm definitely getting here is to expect some gifts from maybe unexpected sources, whether these are spiritual, so energetic, or they're physical, they're tangible, things like this. You are also going to find that this next chapter for you heavily involves the breaking down of something. So this is breaking a pattern, breaking a limiting belief. Maybe it's breaking a contract or some sort of relationship, partnership, breaking a paradigm. There's something that's breaking here, but it's showing in a positive way that is conducive to your growth. And it's also going to be something that allows you to connect with this luxury. So you're going to find that there are two things, well, all things coexist really, but you're going to find that there's something that you have been intertwined with for a while, or a journey or a detour that you have been on, a soul contract you've been working through, or a physical partnership or contract you've been working through, a paradigm, a belief system, whatever it is for you, that in this next chapter of your spiritual journey, you're going to find that it breaks. And because it breaks, you're going to find that abundance finds you. You're going to find that when that person is hanging around you, maybe opportunities stop coming in. You're going to notice, or you have noticed, that when you are following this particular belief system, your spiritual gifts kind of come to a screeching halt. You're going to find that when something is not around you, you have an amazing day. And when it is around you, you have not a good day. And it's not to say that this is something that has control over you or your life or your free will or anything like this. This is to say that there's some sort of pattern, contract, paradigm, something that is meant to break, that you're finally going to be released from. It feels a little bit like a shackle, but it's something that you are optimistic towards, because in some way it mirrors, in a distorted way, the luxury that you seek. So this is something that maybe wears a mask of being what it's not, or what it is that you want, but on the inside it doesn't match that. There's some sort of distorted mirroring energy going on here, where maybe you want, say that you try to manifest a job that is working on a sky-rise building. You want to work in a skyscraper in a corner office, and you want to be able to wear a suit to work every day, hypothetically. So this would be a job where it doesn't matter what you wear, and you can work from home, and their headquarters is an office building, and so you can wear a suit to work every day. You can also wear your pajamas. So this is something where you can technically use that paradigm to fit what it is meant for you, what it is that you're manifesting into it, but it's not necessarily exactly that. So their headquarters is in an office, so you work for a company where you can go in and you can be in that. You work maybe mostly from home, where you can wear a suit every day, but that's not the job exactly the way that you manifested it, where you go to work in a skyrise and you wear a suit to work. That is something that can fit that if you make it work, but it's not working for you. So there's something like this that is like, I'm hearing the phrase close but no cigar of a manifestation of yours or of a paradigm or a belief system or something like this, where it's like, almost you're following this person, following this job, following this relationship, following this paradigm, and you realize that it only can get you so far. So now you are breaking out of it, and you already knew this too, by the way. I'm picking up that you're very intuitive and you're a master of something spiritual, but maybe the universe told you to stay, your intuition told you to wait until you couldn't take it enough, couldn't take it anymore. You perhaps were drawn towards this because it looked a lot like what it is that you were manifesting or wanted, and you're going to find that this next chapter of your spiritual journey awakens abundance, and you're going to realize that that abundance was always there. This was just a simple little detour that was meant to cross your path, specifically so that you could understand that you deserve so much better. And this isn't something that you need to fully remove, but the energy, the paradigm, the pattern related to it is breaking. So you can still have that person in your life, and you have walked through that karma or broken that pattern, or you have learned that lesson, or you have cleansed the energy there. But that person can still hang out. You might still work for that job, but it doesn't stop you from going after your dreams anymore. You can still get that job where you go to a skyrise and work in a suit, but you can also still work at home from that company. Maybe you shift part-times, and now you've got to work a full-time job and a side hustle for work. So it's something like this, but it's your choice. It's your free will. This is not something that needs to stay or needs to go. It's up to you. But you're going to see this from a bigger picture. You're going to end up breaking the shackle that this is connected to you in some way, shape, or form. And it's presenting itself as luxury. I'm also being shown Piscean energy. So this is something that when it's around, it might mess with your finances. It might mess with your ability to rest or relax. It might put you into survival mode. Or it might also be something that connects with your spirituality. Like it might be something that's very speculative. It might be something that is very stubborn, maybe even manipulative. I don't want to paint a picture here. That's not authentically what I'm seeing. So this is something where there's some sort of negative pattern here where you are recognizing, so that discourages me from following my intuition, or this doesn't take me seriously. They don't see the spiritual power that's here, so they're not able to understand something that they can't even see. Therefore, they're not able to respect something that they don't believe exists, right? So it's something like this. And again, you're going to be seeing a lot of this foreshadowing energy coming to light, and it's going to be confirming for you your intuition. Oh, I knew that I acted right when my intuition told me to do that. Now I know why. I saw that happen in my dreams. Now it's playing out in real life. Good thing I know how to act. Good thing I saw this coming. Or even if it doesn't affect you, you're going to be seeing things around you that are happening that you've been seeing, experiencing for a long time. Now they're going to be happening in real life. Some of you, this is about a destination. If you've been dreaming about being in a particular place, you're going to find yourself by the end of the year, feet in that place. Maybe you don't know how it's going to happen, but the universe does. And so that's a message for some of you as well. And it is going to be connected with your spiritual journey. It's a little less physical manifestation and a little bit more, the universe is putting you here for a specific purpose. Okay, there is something that you have to gain from this and something that this has to gain from you. This is mutually beneficial in a spiritual and vibrational sense. I'm also getting the ethics will be there, so don't worry about it. So, taking a look now at the main themes for group number 2's next chapter of their spiritual journey. We're taking a look at the mini oracle here. What are the main themes for group number 2 for the next chapter of their spiritual journey? What are the main themes that are going to be coming up for you in this next chapter? Let's see. Okay, we've got heightened awareness and trust. Okay, so trusting your intuition. So this is going to be a lot, as this message has already come out. So it's going to be a lot of you trusting your intuition, because you walked by faith and not by sight. Now you're going to be seeing it in front of your face, going, yes, my intuition really is reliable, isn't it? Wow, down to the detail. So a lot of things like this. Also, with the heightened awareness, ascending, and aligned timing cards, this is also playing out in a way where the themes are very much running into closing out chapters, signs and synchronicities in ways where, I understand now why this had to happen at this place and this time. Something happens perfectly and you understand, every single thing I did led up to that moment. And they're really those moments that genuinely feel like that. Not where you kind of have to maybe meditate and zoom out and kind of force it. Moments where it's a natural closure of a cycle, a natural culmination, a natural catalytic, like a catalyst point in your life, in your spiritual journey. So these are going to be kind of more prominent for you. Now with the Ascending card, now this talks about raising your vibration, getting closer to source, infinity, God, universe, light, however it is that you spiritual. But ascending, it means evolving. It means evolving in layman's terms. So ultimately, this next chapter of your spiritual journey is going to look at the themes of you trusting the work that you've already done. It's going to have you trusting your intuition. The main themes are going to be you noticing a lot more. You might notice that you go through a period of maybe feeling a little overstimulated because you are getting a little more sensitive. You might notice that you start picking up on more information. Your spiritual gifts you already have, they're getting stronger. You're able to see the crystalline blueprint between things now. So you're not just looking at past, present, future, parallel lifetimes. You're now looking at the soul's blueprint. And you're looking at where this is evolving into and how. So it's giving you almost, I like to think of this as the Akashic records of the Akashic records. The Akashic records are held within the astral plane as well. So if you can astral travel, astrally project, connect with the Akashic records, these are all happening in the same plane of existence. However, outside of this is the crystalline blueprint, the etheric template, and the causal realm, and there is beyond this as well. So you're shedding layers. So you're able to see from one layer externally what is going on spiritually. So this is really beautiful for you. The other main themes here with aligned timing, this is just kind of circling back around to the idea of divine timing, but you're really receiving all of those whys. But why? But how? But when? Because it's going to be in front of your face, and it's going to be now, and it's going to make sense. And really, I'm getting that if you've had a sense of not just heightened awareness, but maybe overstimulation or anxiety because you've been outgrowing a lot of things in your life, you're going to find that you end up in the right place at the right time, almost inevitably, inadvertently. And so there's this layer of trust, deepened faith in both yourself and the universe that's playing out for you. So actually, I love to see this. It's very copacetic, very simpatico. It's very like decompressing a bit. And we also have this energy of luxury that came out a bit too. So whatever luxury means for you, because honestly, some days it can feel like just taking a nice nap or having a snack. And other days it can be like you are getting a massage on, I don't know, a really cool island somewhere, very fun, whatever it means to you, right? There's your individual definition of that. But we are seeing that there's this energy of like rest and rejuvenation. Also this energy of seeing the things that you've been like predicting or culminating, manifesting, coming to fruition, and you understanding who, what, when, where, why, how, and it's playing out in front of your face. It's really nice. You already had all the answers, and now the questions have been posed, and now you're watching them play out in front of you. So it's going to be something where you're like, dang, I really am good. So I love that for you. We always love a little extra validation, even though it's not really necessary, but it's always nice to have, right? So with that, we're going to take a look at the gifts that are awakening for you. Specifically, I'm getting here that you're going to be able to read more accurately soul contracts of yourself, of others, or if you have evolved outside of the understanding of soul contracts, so outside of the Akashic records, you might be able to now teach it in a way where you're able to see it from the outside. So you're not leading people through a tunnel that you yourself are navigating. You live outside of the tunnel and you're going through there. It's your part-time job. You go through there for an hour a day. You guide people through it. You're a little more of a tour guide. You're a teacher of something that you have mastered unequivocally. You are not leading people through something that you are currently experiencing. So there's a little bit of this shift here, but it's pertaining to like maybe astral, spiritual, Akashic, maybe even causal energies for some of you. I know the causal realm is never talked about here in like the tarot community because it's largely a yogic topic. So because of that, you're going to find oftentimes it's not going to be talked about very often. And what it is, oftentimes it will be kind of copy and pasted off of somewhere else. So it's kind of a difficult realm to access if you're not genuinely evolved there. But I do see it coming through for you genuinely. So your ability to connect with this energy, it's going to allow you to look down from spirit down and able to see things clearly and accurately. So you're not going to be guessing or getting lost in spiritual loops or detours or anything like this. You're not going to be spinning out into like spiritual phenomena, for example. You're rather going to be having having your center and seeing it from the outside looking in. So you're able to clearly see what's going on from like a bird's eye view. So it's going to be really cool. But connecting with the Akashic records, connecting with the astral body, connecting with the energetic fields, connecting with the blueprints. So we're also seeing some, with the crystalline blueprint card specifically, we're also seeing here that you have this gift of activating spiritual gifts in others or activating other people. You might find that you come through a period of a lot of people coming back into your life or coming into your life for the first time. And they're coming through almost like an activation. I'm being shown somebody kind of going to, pardon the analogy, this is what spirit is showing me through my clairvoyance, okay? So I'm apologizing ahead of time, but I'm showing people like in line for a self-checkout at a grocery store or a different store. But they're waiting in line, and the self-checkout, it's actually like an activation. It's like, pretend this is a little wand, right? Isn't this cute? It's a pen. I got it at like Staples. Anyway, so say that someone comes through, there's like a whole line, and you, with your spiritual energy, you're like, boop, you give them a little activation, and then they check out, and it's the next one in line, and you go boop, and then they check out, it's the next one in line. So there's a little bit of this energy coming through as well. You're a little less of the experiencer. You've grown out of the observer, and now you are the bestower. So it's a really cool energy here. So the spiritual gifts that are awakening for you, they're largely going to be in understanding more context, right? A little bit deeper context of what it is that you've already received. I'm getting that this is the energy where you might have seen literally everything that there is to see astrally, akashically. Now you are experiencing new paradigms. So this might also have to do a bit with the crystalline blueprint. This really leads to stronger clairvoyance. So you might be seeing some of the clairvoyant things a little bit more densely than you have before. A lot of you probably already have clairvoyance. So instead of maybe seeing very light colored energies, you might be like seeing it a bit more strongly. But your spiritual gifts are so refined, they're so strong and fine-tuned that you're going to notice that they're not necessarily something that you really need to focus on. You don't need to zoom out and focus. You don't need to meditate and then open your eyes. You don't need to push or try to force anything. It's like it's already there. It's on top of everything, and you're able to understand the context within everything that's in. I'm getting that you have very, very open spiritual gifts. And so if somebody who is new to their spiritual journey, or they haven't done the ascension work or the evolution work that you've done, they might have a little bit of delusion. They might get into like spiritual psychosis, or they might start believing some stories and narratives which help everyone on their journey to get to where they're going, right? But oftentimes there's a reason why people will draw the spiritual journey like going up, but instead of it's a straight line, they say it's not linear, right? So if we're not looking at the straight line and we're not looking at the spiral, it can oftentimes look like little, those little like half infinity signs, the sign for spiritual journeys where they go back and forth and back and forth. It's like, here's a detour, there's a detour, here's a detour, there's another one. But eventually you go up. Eventually you channel them up the centers and you find them in spirit. This is something where you see all those detours and you're like, nope. You see the nuance, you understand the context, you see this is an opportunity for a detour to spin out, to absorb a narrative that will help teach a lesson in order to get it somewhere else. You just see the straight path. And you see the options. You see the timelines. A lot of you might be doing timeline work. A lot of you might be psychopomps as well. This might be something that is like maybe a blast from the past, a gift you forgot you had, helping earthwalkers, mediumship, things like this, channeling, things like this. I'm getting a really no big deal for you. So that's really cool energy. Always love to meet my community. So hi, friends. Anyway, there's also this vibe where you're able to understand and present things in a linear format that are not naturally or organically linear. So for example, you might be able to understand the seed, let's just use sacred geometry, the seed of life and how it turns into the flower of life and how that turns into other geometrical shapes. But you're able to just look at the point and tell the story from the perspective of that one dot that hasn't even gone on this journey yet. So you're able to walk it through all the steps because you see it from the top down. You're able to see this is the way that the journey goes. You have many different ways to make that shape, but this is the shape that you're making. So you're able to make easier spiritual things kind of more digestible. So it's really cool. And I want to say that the gift of gab can be a spiritual gift in and of itself if you are using it correctly, because you are noticing that, well, first of all, a lot of things are coming true that you said were going to come true, or you didn't say and you just received. And it's not about, oh, I saw it first, etc., blah, blah, blah. Rather, this is you trusting your intuition and you forging a sense of trust and community around you, so that there's this energy of people coming towards you and saying, hey, I'm heading on this journey. Can you give me a little hug? Can you give me a word of advice? Can you pat me on the back? Can you reassure me that I'm headed in the right direction, right? So you're going to notice subsequent people coming to you, and you're going to find that a new realm of gifts unlocks through this experience for you. Because the experience of being, not the experiencer or the observer, but the bestower, has its own paradigm and realm and experience for you to unlock and unfold as well. So it's like a new chapter of your spiritual journey here, which is what the reading's about. So let's take a look at what it is that you're learning right now. We're going to look at my tiny tarot. I love these. I think that they're so pretty. What is group number 3 learning during this next chapter of their spiritual journey? What is group number 3 learning? Where are you? 9 of Swords. 9 of Swords. So 9 of Swords, 2 of Wands. Okay. Oh, you're learning a little bit more about your direction in life. You are, let's just say, a spiritual nomad, a spiritual traveler, if you will. You might always find that you're continuing your evolution journey. You're continuing to transform. You're continuing to ascend. And so because of this, you don't really want to stop at any particular level because you continue to grow. And when it comes to something like, your finances, maybe you grow to a certain extent and you're like, this is fine. I'm comfortable here. I can live like this. This is good. I can provide for myself and my family. Okay, that's fine. People do that on their spiritual journey too. They say, hey, I got to the point where I can manifest really well. I got to the point where I've got these cool spiritual gifts. I got to the point where this one thing isn't bothering me anymore, or I healed from this energy, or I cleansed some karma, and then they stop there and they chill. Group 3, you're not that person. But because of that, you might often find that because you are determined to continue moving forward, you often might feel as though you often go through different places, you go through different milestones, you go through different levels, but you don't really stop there. You don't really find a home necessarily. I mean, you do, but your home, it's more like in motion. It's more in ascension. It's more in evolution. It's more in transformation than it is what you transformed into, for example. So let's see. What is group 3? There we go. Thank you. 8 of Wands. Yeah, expressing this. So you are learning, okay, the culmination of events, like the world at the back of the deck. Beautiful. Basically, you're learning where you're going a little bit. Now, I know that you can see where you're going, but maybe there's certain, oh my goodness, expression, 8 of Wands. Look at this. There's some sort of energy pertaining to, but where do you end up though? If you don't stop because you continue to evolve, then where do you end up? You know that you can keep taking the road as long as it goes, but when do you get to stop and rest? If you don't stop somewhere and plant a garden there, then how do you get your fruit? Then how do you, sacral chakra moved here. Interesting energy. So then how do you be happy with something that you're constantly outgrowing the second that you finally get what you want? How do you continue to evolve and grow with permanent things in your life, or quasi-permanent, because we are in this human realm, right? So how do you pick one thing at a particular vibration, a particular frequency, and inevitably outgrow it? So how do you keep things with you while you move? It's being in a constant state of detachment here. So there's a little bit of 9 of Swords. It can be stress, it can be anxiety, it can be overthinking. It doesn't necessarily have to be these things too. It can be a little bit of, maybe it's sleepless nights, or maybe they're very active dreams. There's also a little bit of this vibe here where maybe you see literally everything, so nothing surprises you anymore. Maybe you know how things are going to end up, so you're like, should I just walk through this and act surprised, or should I just veto the experience altogether? There are things like this that kind of maybe take, it's what gives you the joy is also maybe what takes away the joy. Yeah, I'm always evolving and learning and growing. At the same time, how come I always have to evolve and learn and grow? And it's something that you chose and continue to choose happily, but the expression of this. So what is your place? So what is your place in the world? And it's also funny because it's the Joker card, because I use the word literally, which isn't the definition of the card necessarily, although it can mean travel and like sublimation and transmutation and stuff. It's also the end of a journey. So what does the end of the road look like? And it's also the card at the back of the deck, which can sometimes, depending on the reader and the context of the reading, represent the unseen or hidden energies. So hidden, where's the end of the road? Two of Wands, what does the future hold? Nine of Swords, maybe you see everything, and so you're like, okay, so where's the fun? Where do I travel? Eight of Wands with the World, both cards of travel in the tarot. So, and Two of Wands can be as well, moving forward. Eight of Wands is sometimes traveling. The World is also traveling. So there's a lot of energy of this. What you're learning is specifically in your spiritual journey and your physical journey, how much and which terrain you are traveling. And again, it's not something you haven't seen before. So maybe it's what to do about it, what to do about the fact that you know it. Do you talk about it? Do you keep moving forward and act surprised? Oh my gosh, I had no idea that was going to happen. I definitely haven't been dreaming about it all week, right? So there are some things like this where you're going to find your place. It's like finding, let's just use a grounded example here, your identity as a traveler, not the person who is going from place to place to place, and you still identify with the place that you started at, the place you were raised. Now you identify as a traveler. So there's a little bit of that evolution, a little bit of that learning that's going on there. So what do you identify as maybe? How do you relate to the world around you? So what really is your place in the world? What archetype are you growing into? Like, what is your end goal here? Maybe you know what it is in consciousness. Maybe you know what it is physically. Maybe it's the journey part that's unseen to you. I'm not really getting that anything is unseen to you. That in and of itself might be what you need to learn how to do something about. So what do you do with that information? It's kind of funny actually, because I'm hearing the song Scenario by A Tribe Called Quest, and it's literally saying, so what's the scenario? What's the scenario? But I'm hearing specifically like, so what do? Do you just sit back, relax, let yourself go? Don't sweat what you heard, but act like you know? Like specifically, like, so what are you just supposed to act like you don't know these things? Or act like you do know these things, but like not worry about it because it's supposed to just manifest plainly? It's just going to manifest and it's no big deal. You're just going to see things ahead of time. You're just going to understand the karma. You're just going to have told them, and then their ego doesn't want to, and then you just are like, okay, and then you're the bad guy, and then they do it, and then they come back, oh my god, you were right, da, 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 like over and over again. Really? No. So it's kind of finding, okay, what's the scenario? Where's the end of this? What is the thing that I'm learning here? And going back to the main themes of this next chapter too, we have trust. Trust with yourself, trust building in a community, trust in your awareness, trust in the journey you've already been on and the one that you are currently on, and the aligned timing of everything. Now, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. And we can see this. So what's interesting is that I did select for this reading, as you saw, a what you don't see. So group number 3, what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at the hidden 7 between this 9 and the 2. And we're going to take a look at this hidden 6 between the 2 and the 8. And we're going to see that this can sometimes indicate that you don't always know where it is that you're headed in life, but you do have faith in the divine. You are a faith-first kind of person, a crown chakra kind of person. But when it comes to relationships, you want to have the same, any kind of relationship, you want to have the same kind of faith and trust in other people that you can have in yourself and in the divine. And that makes logical sense. Because if you have unequivocal faith in the divine, will you trust them to bring in good people, bad people, weird people, strange people into your life? And to remove them accordingly. But because every single thing is source incarnate, right? You also want to be able to trust those individual people. And so your intuition might show you, hey, this one's not going to work out. Or, hey, this one doesn't have your best interest at heart. Or, hey, they're trying, but it's not going to happen, right? That person, you might love them, right? We have this, what you don't see is this energy coming to charge your relationships. Now with the swords and the wands here, we've got air and we have fire. That creates an explosion, right? It's like throwing gas on a fire, literally. If you put air on a fire, there's this huge surge of energy that's coming to 7, your area of relationships. But it's the way that you give out Venus energy. It's the way that you exert Venus energy. So it's the way that you give love, the way that you present yourself in relationships. What is it that you're giving? What is it that you're overgiving? What is it that you're willing to give? And how does that relate to the trust that you are building with your community? How does that relate to the way that you relate to your path, your dharma, your soul mission, if you will, in this world? So what's unseen here is a huge energy charging your relationship. So we are looking at more friends. I'm getting like faith-centered friends. Now, faith can be spiritual. It can be religious. Faith isn't the right word for all of you specifically, but hopefully just understand we're talking about matters of the crown chakra here. Okay, so a more spiritually centered friend or relationship or something coming into your life, this is what you don't see here. You might feel this, but you don't see this. Remember how we talked about this next chapter? It's all about seeing the stuff that you already knew. So what you don't see in this next chapter is this coming through, but it will. And this is kind of the precursor energy to this coming in. Now, this other unseen energy here, as well as the 6, and we are releasing a 1. We're going from 7 down to a 6 and the unseen energies here. So this is saying that there's going to be a version of you that you need to let go. Now, it might be an ego death. It might be a story you're telling yourself. It might be a perspective of self. It can be good or bad or just normal to you, whatever it is. But we do have either removing yourself from a situation, removing a perspective of yourself, detaching from self in general, the idea of ego, the idea of a self. It can be an ego death. We have the releasal of a 1. First house itself, its face, right? Some of you releasing a particular presentation of self, perhaps. Take it as it resonates. But what we have next is 2 flames next to each other. And I'm being shown like 2 burning candles next to each other. But it's 6. It's the daily energy. So what is there in your daily life? Where's the balance? And also the wands next to it, it's kind of presenting to me when you put up 2 candles next to each other to do a cord cutting or something like this, it's also kind of giving me 4 of wands vibes a little bit. So what is there in your life every day? What you don't see is the perfection. It's the perfection behind it. It's like you see everything and you've got the thoughts and the feelings about it. And so at the end of the day, where is that perfection energy? So what you don't see is actually something pertaining to your daily life and how this energy might be exactly what you need right now, which you already know, but you might not fully see it. And really how where you are right now is inspiration and is like the fuel that you're going to use to move forward in the future. So that's what you don't see. To see what it is that's going to come out here a little bit more, I want to take a look at the fact that we've got air. We have a lot of fire here. I'm getting that this might be opposite for some of you. You might be really, really heavy fire in your chart. Others of you, you've got like maybe all of the other elements and no fire in your chart. So either way, this energy is going to feel hot because it's the acclimation from cold into hot. It's like when it's really cold outside and it's warm inside, the second you step outside, it feels colder than it actually is because you have to acclimate to it. So it's a little bit of that energy, but moving towards the fire end. So there's a little bit of that there. So if you do hold extra fire or you're feeling that, make sure to intentionally store it in your solar plexus, okay? And what is not here are earth and water. So there are no pentacles and no cups coming out here, and trust. So trust the process. You might have been really, really working on the root and sacral chakras. You might have just had a whole thing, a whole story, a whole part of your journey with the root and sacral chakras here, especially pertaining to your relationships, especially pertaining to your stability, your everyday life, what it is that you can give, what it is that you receive. That's all energy that you have been dealing with in your root and sacral chakras. And so we're noticing that this is something that is what you're not seeing. So you're not going to see these themes of lack or survival or are you comfortable or are you not comfortable coming up anymore. You're not going to be seeing these themes. We do have a 2 here, which is sacral, but it's 2 and wands. So it's letting me know that the sacral energy, it's transmuting, it's ascending, and it's right under the ascending card. So you are detaching from this energy of whatever lesson you've learned in the sacral chakra. You don't need to work on these things anymore. They are now permanently stable and you already see where they are. It's not to say that life doesn't throw us off balance. It's not to say that we don't always need a little nuance or some chakra balancing in the morning or whatever it is that you do. But it's saying that if you were to look at this from a crystalline blueprint perspective, from a soul contract perspective, this is wrapped up. It's closed out. And so here, just to kind of circle back around, we have this closing out of a chapter, of a paradigm, of a connection. We have you removing the self, right? This energy that's right here, what you don't see. We have you removing yourself from something. And it's going to bring you into luxury, into expansion, into beauty, into fun, and also into spirit. And it's going to be feeling really beautiful. You're going to feel more connected with spirit and a little bit more like you have a say in how things go. I'm getting that there's this energy of free will, like to free will or not to free will kind of vibe that's coming out here, which is interesting. The world represents, literally in the tarot, it represents the ascension process. So after the soul leaves the body, where does it go after? Where does it go after? And so there's a little bit of this consideration that's coming with both of these cards coming out that wants to be considered by you just for a moment. That's going to be coming up in this next chapter of your spiritual journey. What is after this? What is after this? And when you consider that, it puts you in this different place of consciousness. It puts you in an energy of observing your life in a different way. Some of you may have had NDEs or have meditated in a way that releases the, I'm not going to say the letter that comes after C, the letter that comes after L, and the letter that comes after S in your brain. The dimethyl something. I'm not going to say it because I'm on YouTube and YouTube's pretty strict, but you might have meditated to that point. You might have had an NDE. You might be experiencing that in general. Okay. So there's this question of, so what is on the outside of this human container and the spiritual container? What's outside of the astral container? What is on the outside of what's on the outside of what's on the outside of what it is that I'm seeing? And then from that place, what's next? What is next? And so this consideration here, yes, trust yourself. Trust your vibes, trust your instincts, your inklings. You're going to be seeing a lot of confirmation for you for your spiritual journey and everything. Trusting, oh yes, that was rejection and not protection. Or this was rejection for protection. This is why. This redirection was for protection. That's why. Oh, my dream was showing me this. That's why. I kept having dreams about being in front of this person or in front of this place or learning this lesson, and that's why. I told this person this and they didn't like it, so they blew up at me. And then the thing that I said was going to happen happened and they didn't like it, but then they learned and now they're coming back around and da-da-da-da. You're just going to watch it. But you are now outside of experiencer. You're outside of observer. You're now stepping into the energy of bestower. And that is a different energy. And again, we have this detachment and ascension out of the creative sacral energy. So it's bestower. It's not creator. It's not creative. It's not sacral, like in the, it's not in the human sense, creative. It's in the spiritual sense, bestower. That is why that energetic difference wanted to be made. So group number 3, message of encouragement. Yay. Group number 3, we get message of encouragement for the next chapter of group number 3, spiritual journey. We have cellular healing. Okay, beautiful. If you believe cells need to be healed, then your cells are healing. If you know how to use cells in order to bestow healing, that's something you're getting onto. Make your own path. Again, we've got this question of free will. This, what do you believe? What paradigm are you in spiritually and consciousness, right? And so wherever it is that you fall there, you're going to unwrap or unravel something that relates to that energy. So I'm leaving this open to interpretation here. We have cellular healing. We've got make your own path. And we've got fully integrated, which is really cool. When I channeled this card, I was really thinking about like source and the highest self and then the higher self, that whole like Russian dolls, if you will, like the doll inside the doll inside the doll, like integrating them all into one being. So you're not you, and then you have another life, and then you have a higher self. Like you integrate these all into one being. You pull all of those extra cells and particles of consciousness into yourself. Or you choose to simultaneously experience all of them. And so it's kind of questioning this as well. Again, in the direction or from the level of consciousness or understanding, whether it's above or below that you are currently at and experiencing. So whatever that brings up for you, questioning that, exploring that a little bit. And for a message of encouragement, you have done so much work. You have seen it all on and off this earth. You already know. And you're going to also notice that down to the T, what it is that you're saying, what it is that you saw, what it is you're experiencing, it is so accurate, it's so precise, it's almost maybe even annoying or maybe a little bit inconvenient, but at the end of the day, you trust it because it's not really annoying, it's not really inconvenient, it's just that, no one likes to say, I told you so. No one wants to hear, I told you so, right? So a little bit of this energy, make your own path. You're going to understand that this is still your path to create. You still get to be a co-creator in this world, of course, but you make your own path considering what's outside of it, which means that the options for you and the things that you consider as options are going to be different than maybe what they were before or what you usually see around you. And because of this, your encouragement here is to continue to be open and honest with yourself and others. It is to continue to make your own path and move forward because your path is your own. And if it was supposed to be somebody else's, it would. You're on your own train, going in your direction at your time. You are on your own little train going to where you're going to go, and no one else can be on that train, and you can't be on anyone else's train. Okay. And you are where you're supposed to be. You've been doing so much of the work. And again, we have this energy of if you're always going somewhere, then you never feel like you are somewhere, right? And so we're looking at the idea of identifying with the train, or the fact of, or the idea of being a traveler instead of waiting for that destination to arrive, right? So there's a little bit of that vibe that's coming through. And it's not to say you don't have a destination. It's to say that you are considering, so what is next? In a spiritual sense, in a consciousness sense, outside of this body, then what is next? And that is going to open up a path for you. And you get to realize there's more creative in a physical way and a non-physical way. There's kind of more free will and fun and whimsical energy attached to it than you might think, to a point where you get to play with some of these gifts. Before you were refining them, you were defining them. You learned them, you walked through the experience, you observed the repercussions of them, and now you are bestowing them upon others. So now you kind of get to pick and choose a little bit more. But with knowledge comes power, and with power comes responsibility. So first you needed to learn the responsibility, and you needed to learn the knowledge, and now the power comes in with the fully integrated card. So you're stepping into your power. Remember that no matter what, you are, solar plexus and heart chakra, you are loved, you are worthy, you are divine. Your expression of self, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's perfect. You deserve to give, you deserve to receive. You deserve all of the things on and off this world. Anything you can imagine in your heart and soul, you deserve in this world. Also, you're beautiful, you're amazing, you're wonderful. And don't forget to give yourself a pat on the back sometimes, a little more than you think necessary, because the solar plexus wants to come here and say, hey, I'm here, see me, love me, hold me. So befriend your ego a little bit, not in a sense where you're letting it hold you down, right? We have such a common culture in modern spirituality to like villainize the ego. And I'm not saying the ego can't hold you back. I'm not saying the ego is not always our friend, because it's not, right? But what I am seeing here is let yourself be confident, give yourself a little extra pat on the back. It's okay for you to kind of gas yourself up a little bit sometimes, because you deserve it and you're doing amazing work. And being seen by others starts with seeing yourself. And you're always seen by the universe. So let it come into yourself, right? So give yourself a little more of that love. Pop the plexus, as I like to say, just a little bit more, okay? And for some of you also, this is digestion, or it's the stomach. So working with the stomach area, strengthening the core, focusing on your diet, what it is that you're eating. It's beautiful, but this is a message of encouragement. So it's saying good job pertaining to this, okay? Good job at holding your core. Good job at being confident in yourself. Good job at putting yourself out there, seeing people and being seen. Good job at being the light in the world. Good job at your core strength. Good job at having a good diet. Good job at all the things that you are doing in this physical world that relate to who you are as an individual person. Because this is the group, I'm going to tell you, you are very spiritual. And you know what's going on this earth, outside of this earth, in your body, spiritually. You know what's going on here. And so you might think that the smallest part of you, or the weakest part of you, or the least cool part of you, it's the physical version of you. But I'm here to tell you that the message coming through for you today is that also your personality as a human is very cool. Your body is beautiful. Your face is beautiful. Your personality, it's gorgeous. Your character, it's amazing. You as a tiny little human ant on this tiny little rock planet in this tiny little multiverse inside of whatever it's inside, okay, is awesome and cool and very perfect and very beautiful and worthy of all good things. So a little bit of encouragement there for you. And I know we know this, but trust the process. Trust the process. It got you to where you are. And so did you. So group number 3, this is all about the next chapter of your spiritual journey. I hope this helps shed love, light, and clarity for you. And as always, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, week, month, year, and incarnation in this beautiful magical realm. Please like and comment on this video if you don't mind, and subscribe to my channel. Those things mean a lot to me as it gives me encouragement and it helps me keep doing what I do. And I really love what I do. So those little presses of buttons on your end actually help me so much more than you might think. And also, if you do want a personalized reading, I do offer one-on-ones again. They're on my Etsy store at Spiritualistik. You can find it in the description box. I do personalized light codes and channeling sessions, as well as tarot readings, astrology readings, astrocartography, Reiki, all of those fun things. And all of the decks used in today's reading I've made, so they're going to be on my Etsy store. I've published 3 books. I've got a journal that is prompted. I've got journals that are unprompted, crystals, candles, merchandise for your zodiac sign, merchandise for Spiritualistik, just fun little things like that. So if you're interested in exclusive content, I do have 3 channels for that as well. There's one here on YouTube, which is largely channeled messages, one on Patreon, which is mostly tarot readings, and one on TikTok, where I've been going live and we've just been going with the flow, doing guided meditations, talking about spiritual topics. And I also post collectives on there a few times a week, just collective readings to see what comes up. We do sometimes energetic attunements, meditations, and stuff too. So if any of those are calling out to you, or if you just want to support, you can find me over there. All of the platforms are at Spiritualistik. You can add me on Instagram too, and that's just a way that I connect with you a little more closely. As always, I love you and I'm grateful for you. And I will see you next time. Namaste.